Welcome to ESVN OT, the Emma Sports Vigilant Network show. My name is Emma Vigilant, and you know what to do, folks. Subscribe, youtube.com/ESVN show. Put on push notifications for when we go live, because we may be going live a half hour early, so I can make it to a dinner and be able to go home in time and change. You know, I could have made it, but I'm wearing jeans. I gotta change. What do you want from me? Put on push notifications. I think I said it already. Rate us 5 stars everywhere you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify. Bradley, say hello.
Hello, everyone. You did not want to be late for a very important date, as it were.
I'm late. I'm late for
Alice in Wonderland.
Yes. Okay. Gosh. Thank you. Too much in my brain. Too much consumption.
Yeah,
I'm losing all this stuff.
You're through the looking glass.
I was trying to think. Well, there you go. That's a reference. I got that one. I was trying to think of like my high school teachers' names the other day. None of it. I don't retain any of this.
I think I can remember a few of the prominent ones, but like, for example, like I had, you had like health class. At least I had health class, like a different one every quarter or whatever. And there were a few where I was like, I have no idea what their names are. Like
no.
you could put the person in front of me, and like if you gave me like an hour, I still would not be able to get their name without a hint.
I went to a high school where I think we had like 70 girls in our graduating class, and I probably forget 20 of their names.
Yeah, that's
30.
tough. Yeah, my 10-year high school reunion's coming up, and I'm wondering if I'll see anybody I've forgotten.
I couldn't go to that, and I forget why. I think it was some work-related event, but yeah, no, it's crazy, and it's probably just because of the pot. But I like, I don't remember.
Maybe some subliminal repression.
Yeah, and luckily, the next 4 years under Donald Trump aren't going to be stressful at all. So,
and I'm sure we'll start to remember more stuff.
Yes,
sure, as opposed to less.
Right. Anyway, yeah, that's how that works. So, we are going to be giving our picks against the spread. I will say that, like, again, not advocating for any sports betting, but I just saw the odds for Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Did you know that Mike Tyson is not the favorite?
Well,
that seems very odd to me. I know that Paul's younger.
That's I guess that's probably the only reason I would think is just because Tyson's in his mid to late 50s at this point.
Yeah, but it's still Tyson versus Jake Paul, and I know Jake Paul exceeded expectations when he.
But he mostly chooses opponents. I feel like that he usually has the upper hand on in terms of like former UFC fighters,
right?
Who are no longer kind of in their prime. And also don't usually box, or usually, doing mixed martial MMA as opposed to boxing.
Right.
And also, I mean, frankly, he's picking a guy who's,
but
30 years older than him.
He did fight Mayweather, right? And everybody, I remember the fight vaguely, but it was like the consensus was that Paul did better than people thought. I mean, he still lost, but that he did better than people thought he would. So I would be curious to see if he can win. But of course, I mean, they're both horrible. I don't know who to root for, except for I'm rooting for Mike Tyson.
It would just kind of be satisfying to see Mike Tyson like really clock Jake Paul.
I mean, this is his swan song.
Just even in this point in his life and in career, like.
Okay, I never see the YouTube chat, but I did just see. I was wrong about which Paul brother.
Oh, it was Logan Paul, not.
But this is what I don't understand. I don't know the difference. I don't care. But so why is Jake Paul? Why is he favored over Tyson if Logan Paul was the guy that fought Mayweather?
Yeah, that's a little puzzling, and also it's also really the only difference is that only one of them does WWE stuff.
Okay.
Like Jake does not. Jake only boxes. Logan, I guess, does both. I don't really know why, but yeah. But I agree. I don't think. Yeah, it's a confusing.
I'm immediately annoyed that I waited on this without being able to differentiate between the brothers.
They're not easy to differentiate. They look incredibly similar.
They both seem horrible. I don't care. Rooting for Mike Tyson. That's really how I'm approaching this.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Shall we do our locks?
We shall.
ESVN
Stone Cold Lock of the Century. All week.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Last week, I've been sliding. 1 and 2. Just real bummers last week for me. Bradley went 2-1, and we're tied in the wins column. So I just am feeling my slight advantage slipping away.
The walls are closing in.
But Jake Moody killed me by missing those field goals. I would have at least pushed, but he missed multiple field goals. So the San Francisco 49ers beat the Bucs, but not by 6, so I lost that. I was completely wrong about the Saints losing to the Falcons -3.5, and I knew maybe Friday when I had thought about it, I said, "Oh God, why did I do that? The Saints are going to get a bump from firing Dennis Allen."
The so-called dead cat bounce.
And they're at home. Yes.
But it's funny that the two picks that didn't go well were almost because Jake Moody missed multiple field goals and Younghoe Koo missed multiple field goals. It was like the kicker trouble games.
And there have been kicker troubles all season. I think we said this last episode, but with the exception of Brandon Aubrey, Brandon Aubrey in Dallas. And then the Chargers did cover -7 against the Tennessee Titans. So I went 1-2 last week. Bradley went 2-1. The Buffalo Bills covered against the Colts. The Arizona Cardinals destroyed the Jets. Did more than enough. Yes. And then the Rams lost to the Dolphins in basically what was a pick'em. So 2-1. I am 14-2, so the most mediocre possible record. Bradley is 14-16. And I'm doing it again this week, folks. I am going with a Thursday night football game, which can be a little bit scary, but I am just such a believer in Jaden Daniels, and the Eagles, I get that they have a great home field advantage. I understand that. I understand that their secondary has really improved since week 4. They've been able to hold guys like Jamar Chase to very small yardage totals, which has been a big benefit to a team that needed to get a little bit tighter on defense. I understand that. But I think this game is at the very least going to be close. And I think Terry McLaurin is going to feast, even though they haven't been... The secondary has improved a lot in recent weeks. I just think that factor of having Jaden Daniels rush really scares defenses and creates some looks that are easier for him as a rookie. The Eagles' defense has been improving, but I just think that if the Commanders are going to lose this game, they're going to lose by a field goal. And it's an interdivisional game. There's so much on the line here. And the Eagles have had these weird moments throughout the season where they don't show up. And that, I think, it comes back to coaching. I am not really a fan of their offensive scheme. Jalen Hurts has been throwing a lot of interceptions, and they still win because they can be so overpowering on the ground. Saquon Barkley's having a great year. But the Commanders' defense has been playing better recently, and they've been blitzing. They had a pretty low blitz rate to start the year. They've been pressuring a lot in recent weeks, and I think that freaks Jalen Hurts out. He is not going through a ton of reads. He's often just like, these plays are very simple, so if you can make it a little more complicated for him. And Dan Quinn has shown that he's been doing that. Even though I've criticized his more simple scheme in the past, the Commanders have been good at disguising their defenses. And so I just think that the Commanders either win this game or keep it close. The 4 points was too much for me. Washington Commanders tonight, +4 in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and I feel like even in the games where they've had a more, I think they've still been, for the most part, rising to the occasion of their stronger competition, like, within their game against, not necessarily obviously coming out on top, but the Ravens game, the Steelers game. So I definitely could see this being close. And also I imagine that these teams are going to want to play each other close, because this really is, the kind of the cream of the crop of the NFC East at this point. So,
and I guess I'm wrong here. Thank you for alerting me to this on the IMs. I guess he hasn't been having turnovers lately. Perhaps it was just the really bad one that I was associating with last week. And again, forgive me. This past election 2 weeks, a lot of stuff is blending in from the earlier part of the season. It still doesn't really change my assessment. So I'm going with the Commanders +4.
With the Eagles too, also, I feel like what I'm kind of coming to now is just they're getting to a point where the star power is evening out in a way where they can sort of win in spite of any sort of in-game foible / miscues from Nick Sirianni. So I'm still very much adamant that Sirianni is a problem for the Eagles.
Agreed.
But they're so talented still that I think it's not going to be something where they're going to fall off the rails on the field entirely. Like, yes, like he'll probably bluff or fumble 2 fourth down decisions or whatever a game, but they're AJ Brown, Devontae Smith,
Yes.
Saquon. Go ahead.
But of these 3 picks, this is the one I feel least confident in. So Bradley, you're going with the Baltimore Ravens -3.5 in Pittsburgh. That half points would scare me a little bit.
Yeah, I think I am taking all road teams this week, but I think this will be a very good close game. But I just still am pretty confident in how the Ravens have been playing this entire season, and I'm still very much like as much as I still think that there are chances for there to be exposures of weaknesses in the Ravens defense, I'm still just really confident in their offense and how incredibly both Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson have been playing.
And they're coming off a long week as well of rest.
Right. So I think yeah, with some rest, and again, similarly where I sort of think this is more vibes based than anything else, but similar with what I was saying with the Eagles Commanders, I'm just thinking too, it's like it's a big interdivisional matchup between 2 teams with a lot of history against one another.
Competing for first
in their first in the table. So I just think the Ravens are going to come to play, and I think it'll be close, but I do think the Ravens will pull it out.
I hear you on that front. I mean, who knows if that last week was a fluke or if Russell Wilson is finally getting going with.
That's what I'm curious about too. Is like I don't
and Mike Williams.
Because I'm curious if it will obviously see if we can expect like another like three passing touchdown game from Russell Wilson at this point in his career.
Right. I think you're right about that. I'm going with another interdivisional matchup here. The San Francisco 49ers -6 at home against the Seattle Seahawks. I just think that now that McCaffrey is coming back, the 49ers are going to start to find their form. They have to keep up with the Arizona Cardinals, who are winning the division as we speak right now, which is amazing. So the 49ers are going against a Seahawks defense that has one of the worst run defenses in the entire league, and Christian McCaffrey got his feet wet against the Buccaneers last week. I think he's going to run all over this Seattle defense. I'm taking them to win by more than a touchdown, even with DK Metcalf potentially returning to the lineup. He missed the past 2 weeks with injury. The Seahawks are also 2-6-1 against the spread this season. The 49ers are under 500, but they do better at home. And I just think at the end of the day, there's a late touchdown that puts them away. I have them winning by 10. So San Francisco 49ers at home against the Seahawks -6.
Yeah, and maybe as Christian, as McCaffrey continues to sort of reacclimate, I think just the explosiveness potentially will just continue to rise, as opposed to I just can't see him being less explosive unless absent any sort of injury. I don't see him
I know
becoming less impactful for getting their offense back to a place where it could be or hasn't been, especially in the red zone where they've sort of struggled a little bit. I think McCaffrey being back for the red zone touches, I think is huge.
And I have a little bit of trepidation because of how bad their kicking situation has been.
Right.
But it's also at home, and I think that they're getting in the end zone. So that's why I'm going with the Niners, even though they burned me last week with the field goal situation. Bradley, you have the Falcons +2.5 in Denver.
So I mostly because I kind of just it's 2 things. I think I feel as if the Falcons offense is just more has the capacity for explosiveness than the Broncos, despite the Broncos having a great defense. But on the other end of things, the Falcons defense is not particularly vaunted across the board, but I think for the formula of kind of the explosiveness of the scheme as well as the skill position players in Atlanta, combined with a few potential big ticket plays from the Falcons defense from guys who are kind of inclined to do that in Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell. Bo Nix I think has honestly been playing better and better, and I think they've been putting more stuff on his plate as the season has gone on. But I think for a kind of a ball hawk, kind of big play hunter like Jesse Bates, there's a potential that maybe an interception or 2 from Nix, from a guy like Bates or Terrell, also sort of changes the kind of like the field position battle for these two teams where the Falcons can win. I mean, even and if not win, I just think 2.5. I think they can cover even if they lose closely.
This one scares me just because Sean Payton is 3-0 this season against the NFC South, his former division.
And I really think, and this is like Harbaugh too, in the sense that, but I'm betting against both of them. I really think these guys, their teams have only been seemingly looking better and better as the season has gone on. But I'm wondering if maybe Bo Nix falls prey to a little rookie QB-itis in the form of Jesse Bates turnover or two.
All right, well, we shall see. The Denver Broncos are at home. You have the Falcons plus 2.5. I am going with the Houston Texans on Monday Night Football -7 against the Dak Prescott less.
I like this one.
Dallas Cowboys. I was surprised to see that the line is only 7 points. I understand that the Houston Texans have lost 2 in a row at this point. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. They lost to the Jets and the Lions 2 straight since then. Now, even though they picked off Jared Goff 5 times on Sunday Night Football, but the Cowboys are just collapsing. You have Micah Parsons calling out their head coach in the media.
Basically saying, this guy's never worked a day in his life.
Yeah. You have CeeDee Lamb begging Jerry Jones to close the curtain so he can see the football when it's coming at him, and Jerry says no.
He says, hey, CeeDee, shut the hell up. Why don't you?
Yeah, I mean, like,
I know more about the sun than you do.
It's not going to have an effect. Thankfully, it's not going to have an effect for either side because this is going to be at nighttime. Well, although I guess in Dallas, the sun will be down by then. Yeah, anyway, it doesn't really matter because it affects both sides. But like, I just feel that the Cowboys are gonna fall apart at this point. There's nothing to play for. Micah Parsons is pissed. Their stars are grumbling. They don't believe in their coach. They don't believe in this year. Dallas is 2-7 against the spread to start this year, which is the second worst in the NFL. Dallas is also 0-4 at home this entire year. Nico Collins is coming back. So I am going with the Houston Texans -7. I don't know what the Dallas Cowboys have to offer.
And that, I think, might just, in terms of potentially this being an overwhelming matchup for Dallas, is the return of Nico Collins. Because truly, I think it's become abundantly clear that he is very much the linchpin for the Texans offense. Like, they've definitely struggled significantly more with Collins out or banged up. So I think him being back is going to be huge for them to kind of reorient things after this kind of tough
I
stretch.
hope so, because it helps their whole run game when he can take the top off of defense.
Right.
And Joe Mixon has been playing his heart out. It's just been tough sledding since they've lost so many weapons on offense. The one thing that's concerning is that the Houston offensive line has really regressed this year.
Right, that's been tough just to see. Like
Poor CJ getting just chased for his life.
He's doing his best.
He's doing his best, but I still think they can overcome it. So the Houston Texans -7. Bradley, you're going with the Sunday Night Football, Chargers at home against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I like this. I like that we've all, in all of our picks, we've taken Thursday, Sunday, and Monday.
Yes,
we've taken all prime times too.
Evening out the pain, evening it out.
So I'm taking a lot, I think, from, and again, this would be the Bengals against a good Chargers defense as well, but I think if there's a potential for a shootout in the sense of just the Joe Burrow-led offense that we saw that was really volcanic against the Ravens last Thursday, if that carries over into this matchup against a pretty good Chargers defense, and if the Chargers can kind of do something in return to how kind of porous the Cincinnati defense has been outside of basically Trey Hendrickson in terms of any sort of in terms of any sort of big plays from the Bengals defense, it really only comes in the form of Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
I just sort of still trust, especially after what we saw from Burrow and the skill position players in a shootout, to trust the Bengals over the Chargers, even if this game is like, both teams score 35 points or something like that. I think, and it's a similar thing the way I feel with the Falcons Broncos too, is like, I could see the Chargers winning a shootout, but I do think the Bengals, because of how high octane the offense has been the last few weeks, keeping it for it to be for them to cover and it be pretty close, or for them to win. Because I just especially from last week, I just don't, the Burrow Chase connection seems to be fully back in full force. I can't imagine Chase is going to have like a record breaking performance again like he did last week, but I just think there's something. I think the Bengals offense is returning to form enough where if it's a shootout, they can really stay in it.
Oh, yeah. This is a great Sunday Night Football matchup. Much like last week, Texans-Lions. I love seeing no Dallas on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, right.
And highlighting interesting teams with a lot of talent that could go either way. Like,
totally.
The Bengals could get back in this thing, and the Chargers could continue to cement themselves as like fully in the playoff race in this game. So it's both going to be exciting, and I would also tend to agree with you on your pick. I just think Burrow he doesn't get the attention right now because of how bad the defense is, but he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and it's all on him.
I think if they had maybe won like 2 or 3 more games at this point in the season, like if they were like 6-3 or something like that, I kind of think he'd be in the running for MVP.
He should be. I mean, that game he had last week, it was, what did he throw, 5 touchdown passes?
Yeah, right. It's like he had like one of the best single game performances of any quarterback all year. It just so happens that the offense has got going a little bit late and the defense is like historically bad.
But they do this this is a Zach Taylor problem.
Absolutely.
With the way that they play with fire with the way they start the year.
100%.
And now it's coming to bite them. So to recap, I'm going with the Commanders +4 tonight on Thursday Night Football against the Eagles in Philadelphia. The San Francisco 49ers -6 at home against their division rival, the Seattle Seahawks. The Houston Texans -7 in Dallas facing the Cowboys on Monday. Bradley's going with the Baltimore Ravens -3.5 in Pittsburgh on Sunday in a divisional matchup. The Falcons +2.5 in Denver. Facing the Broncos, and the Bengals on Sunday Night Football against the Chargers in LA +1.5. With that said, we will see you back on Monday. Good luck. Good night. And, no one's gambling based on this.
Good night and good luck.
No luck needed. Good luck to us.
Yeah.
And we'll determine our punishment soon, now that we have a little bit more time.
That's right. We can focus on the important things now.
Right, not Trump dismantling our democracy and the administrative state.
No, it's what weird shit can we eat for one of us when one of us loses in February.
Just keep numbing ourselves to the pain.
That's right.
We will see you on Monday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.